I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series for grade 7 students. We'll now discuss unitary method to solve word problems in this particular video. Well, this method is very useful for all students. You may be in junior middle school or in senior school. However, unitary method is unique and should be applied in many word problems to be solved. We'll take up many examples. Some of them will deal with fractions and some with percent. So fractions actually make things very difficult. So in this particular video, you will learn techniques to use unitary method for problem solving when the problems are related with fractions. So let me first tell you what generally the unitary method is. So in the unitary method, you need to find the value of one part of a quantity, right? That you may say rate, for example, correct? So the method to find value of one part of the quantity from the given value of several parts. And then the value of the whole or another part of the quantity is calculated, and this method is called unitary method, correct? So let's take an example to really understand what we are talking about. Example 1. If 12 dozen banana cost $24, find the cost of 5 dozen banana. Straightforward question. You know the cost of 12 dozen bananas? You need to find the cost of 5 dozen bananas, all right? You can estimate it is slightly less than half of this value, correct? How do we find the answer? So begin with what is given to us, right? We're given that 12 dozen banana will cost $24, right? Now, when we say unitary means find the cost of 1 dozen banana. So 1 dozen will cost how much? It will cost lesser, right? Since it costs less, we are dividing, right? So less amount, right? Less, so you divide. Do you understand? So 1 dozen will cost 24 divided by 12. You get the idea. So you get the value, $2. So basically, every dozen of this banana will cost $2. Now you can find the cost for 5 dozens. So 5 dozen will cost $2 times 5. So multiply it by the rate, correct? So we got this particular unitary rate, unitary cost, that is what it is. And now we are interested in finding the cost for 5 dozen bananas. So we're going to multiply that by 5. 2 times 5 gives you 10, and therefore the cost of 5 dozen bananas will be $10, right? So you can write down that the cost of 5 dozen banana will be $10, correct? It is important to write the statement as now I have written, correct? Now, it is important to understand that in unitary method, you first divide to find the unit rate. Once you get the unit rate, then you multiply by the unit rate to find the rate of the required quantity, correct? Let's take another example to understand it better. Example 2. Cindy earns $90 in 6 hours. How much will she earn in 40 hours? Correct. So basically, we want to find in 40 hours what is the earning. Do you understand? The dollar amount. This is what we need to find. What are we given? We are given that in 90 hours, the earning is in 6 hours. We're given that in 6 hours, the earning is $90, correct? So in unitary method, first you'll find what is the earning per hour, that is per unit, correct? So it will definitely be 90 divided by 6, correct? That gives you 15. And in 40 hours, it has to be 15 times 40. Does make sense to you? So simple as that. When you multiply, you get 600, and you can write down your statement that Cindy will earn how much? Cindy will earn $600 in 40 hours at the given rate. So I hope these steps are clear. So you are given some quantity and rate. These two things are related. You have to find the earning per hour. per unit. That's what we mean, right? So earning per hour is important. So again, the steps involved will be earning in 6 hours is $90. Earning in 1 hour will be 90 divided by 6, which is 15. And earning in 40 hours will be multiply 15 by 40. You get the answer 600. Write the statement. Cindy will earn $600 in 40 hours at the given rate. Clear? Now let's take up another example based on unitary method. This time we'll see rate of flapping the wings by the hummingbird. Example 3. You can now pause the video, read the question, answer, and then look into my suggestions. Question 3. A hummingbird flaps its wings 400 times in 8 seconds. How many times will it flap its wing in a minute? Well, seconds and minutes, you should know the conversion, right? We know that 1 minute has 60 seconds. So now the question is that we know that in 8 seconds it flaps the wings 400 times. Then in 60 seconds, what is going to be the result, right? That is how we have to think about. We need to find in the required time, right? So time becomes the first thing. So in 8 seconds, hummingbird flaps 400 times, correct? In 1 second, that is the unit rate, correct? In 1 second, it will be 400 divided by 8, which is 50 times. In 60 seconds, since it is 1 minute, we know 1 minute is 60 seconds. So we are going to multiply 50 by 60 and we get 3,000 times. You get the idea, right? 206 times 5 is 30. So 30, 100, 3,000. The hummingbird will flap its wing 3,000 times in a minute. That is how you're going to write down your answer. Correct? Again, the same strategy. Divide to find the rate and multiply by the unit rate to find the quantity. Correct? So this is standard way of doing it in normal word problems. Now we will see how to adopt this strategy to solve fractions related word problems, right? That is very tricky. So again, the unitary method will be extended. The thing is now we'll not have the whole numbers. We'll have the fractions and see how. And the strategy is still the same. First find one part of the fraction from the given value of several parts of the fractions. So whenever we say fraction, fractions means what? Let's understand this. Fraction means part over whole quantity. Is that correct? So that is what fraction is. And therefore, we are saying first find one part. So we talk about parts over whole, right? So we'll keep the whole same. And if I write this as whole over whole, it means full. That means full, right? One full quantity is the whole thing over the whole thing, correct? So remember this while solving questions related to fractions. Let's look into the example here. Example 4. If 3 over 7 of an amount of money is 162. So 3 over 7 of an amount of money is 162. Then find 5 over 7 of the amount, that is part A, and part B is double the amount. Very tricky question. Let's see how to do it. What have we given? 3/7 of an amount of money is 162. This is given to us. Now, unitary means 1 unit. So what we are doing here is, look here, 1 out of 7, right? So we are saying instead of 3 out of 7, we made it 1 out of 7. So one part of that fraction, you get the idea. 1/7 of the amount will be how much? So we'll divide by 3, the earlier numerator, correct? So we get 54. So 1/7 of the amount is 54. So we want to find what is 5/7 of the amount. So that means we need to now multiply this by 5. So 5/7 of the amount of money is 54 times 5. And we get our answer as $270. You get the idea, right? So we began with 3/7, right? So 3/7 was 162, right? Then we did 1 out of 7. Do you see how unit method works? And we just divided 162 by 3 to get the unit rate of 54, right? Once you get the unit rate, that unit rate of 1/7, right? Small fraction. Then you can get the unit rate for 5 over 7. Do you see that part? Very interesting. So in fractions, this is how you can get the value for another fraction, but related, same denominator. Perfect. Okay. Note the denominator is same. Perfect. Now in part B, we are saying double the amount. So first we need to find the full amount and then we can double it, correct? So to find the double the amount, we need to first find the amount, right? Find the amount first. So full amount means 7 out of 7. Do you understand? When we say 7 out of 7, it means full amount, right? 7 out of 7 is one whole. That is one full amount. That's what I mean when I write whole over whole, which is 1. Do you get the idea? So we know the unit rate, which in this case is 54. So 7 over 7 of the amount will be 54 times 7, which we get as 372. You can multiply, get the result. And now we'll see what is the double of this amount. Just multiply 378 by 2 to get your answer, which is 756. Is that clear to you? You can now pause the video, go through it once again, try to understand how we use the unitary method, right? And here is another practice question for you. Question 5. So I'm saying examples since I'm providing you with the solutions. Example 5 is, this is related to water in a tank. If 2/7 of the tank holds 1500 liters of water, how many liters will be in 5/7 of the tank? You got the idea. So we'll find 1/7. We'll multiply by 5 to get 5/7. That is how we'll find it. Part B is the whole tank, means 7 out of 7, right? So when we say whole tank, it means 7 out of 7, means one whole, correct? So keep that in mind. Now you can pause the video, answer this question, and then look into my suggestions. We are given that 2/7 of the tank is 1500 liters. Find what is 1/7. Divide this by 2, which is 750 liters. That becomes the rate, unit rate, right? Now, you can multiply by 5 to get the value for 5/7. Multiplying by 5 gives you 3750 liters. Now you also want to find in part B what is the whole tank capacity, right? So we have A and here is B for you. 7 over 7 is the whole capacity. Multiply 750, the unit rate. This is the unit rate, right? By 7 now, get your answer. Clear? I hope now the concept is absolutely clear. Take few more examples to practice. Here is example 6. 5/12 of Anil's morning walk is 750 meters. Find the distance in 7/12, right? So that means we'll first divide by 5, then multiply by 7. You get the idea, right? So we have 750. We'll first divide by 5, and then we are going to multiply by 7 to get the answer of part A. Is that clear to you, right? So 5/12 of the walk is 750 meters. 1/12, find a unit rate, right? So unit, 1/12, right? 1/12 of the walk will be, we'll divide by 5, get 150. 7/12 is what is required. So when you multiply by 7, 150, you get your answer 1050. That is how we're going to do it. So that is how you'll do part A. And now for part B, which is whole. In this case, in the fraction of 12th, it will be 12 over 12, which will be one whole. So 12 over 12 of the walk, that is the whole walk, is 150 times 12, and that is 1800 meters or 1.8 kilometers. Now I think it is absolutely clear, right? Okay. Now here is a slightly tricky question based on fractions only. The question here is 3/11 of Gaurav's weekly earnings are paid as income tax. He has $768 remaining after tax. What is his total weekly pay? Correct? We want his total weekly pay. So now you can pause the video, answer this question, and then figure out how I have done it. So it says 3/11 of Gaurav's weekly earnings are paid as income tax. He has 768 remaining after tax. So what is 768 remaining? That is important to understand. The remaining is 768 once 3/11 has been paid. So 11 minus 8 is 11 minus 3 is 8. 8/11 is 768. You get the idea, correct? So 3/11 of the earning is tax. So 11 minus 3 over 11, which is 8 over 11, is remaining. So the remaining amount is 8/11 of the earnings. You get the idea. So 8/11 of the earnings is given to us as 768. Now, find the unit of this earning. 1/11 of the earning will be divided by 8 and 11/11 will be multiplied by 11. You get your answer. In this case, Gaurav's weekly pay is $1,056, correct? So very important to understand, 3/11 was the tax. Balance was 8/11, which was 768, correct? And then you have to solve it. Perfect. Now, here is question number 8. We are now moving on to slightly more difficult questions. The question here is, Lucky scored 20 goals this season. These were 4/9 of the total goals scored by his team. So 20 is 4/9 of the goals, correct? How many goals were scored by other members of his team this season? Correct? So what are we given? We are given that 4/9 of the goals scored is 20. Correct? Find 1/9 of it, divide by 4, which is 5. And 9/9 will be total number of goals scored by the team. So multiplying by 9 gives you 45. So the total goals scored by the team is 45. You understand? Now since 20 was scored by Lucky, 45 minus 20, which is 25 goals, were scored by other members of the team. Is that clear to you? So read the question properly to understand what it is and then solve. Now let's move on, and this time let's take some easy stuff. We have moved to percent now. So fraction is really difficult. Percent you'll find now very simple. So we'll apply the same unitary method to percent applications. The question here is 45% of an amount is $720. Find 80% of this amount. So we know 45% is 720. What is 1%? Divide by 45, correct? You get $16. And 80% will be multiplied by 80. 16 times 80, you get $1280. So that is what 80% of the amount is. Clear? Question number 10. 0.2% of a population in a town is suffering from COVID-19 and 0.3% of the population has high fever. If 1260 persons have high fever, find the number of persons suffering from COVID-19. Very important question these days. So we know that this is the flu season when people can be having high temperatures because of the flu, not necessarily because of COVID, right? But high fever also is a symptom for COVID, right? So this 0.2% population in the town is suffering from COVID-19 and 0.3 higher percent from higher fever. If 1260 persons have high fever, that means 0.3% of the population has high fever, and that number is 1260. You get the idea, right? Now we'll apply the unitary method. 1%, we will divide by 0.3. Well, you divide by 0.3, you get a higher number. So 1260 divided by 0.3 gives you 4200. Now, the COVID affected people are 0.2%. So 0.2% will be multiply 4200 by zero point 0.2. You get your answer as 840. So the number of persons suffering from COVID-19 is 840 from the results. I will suggest you to keep safe and learn. Here is a very last example. In this case, we will have a vaccine here, and let us see how to administer a vaccine. Well, the data here is not quite correct, okay? It is just for mathematical calculations. Remember that. Okay, so the recommended dosage of flu vaccine for 12 kg child is zero point 0.3 milliliters. So always on the vaccines, you have amount per weight mass. So for a 12 kg child, 0.3 ml is required. The question here is determine the correct dosage for 32 kg child. Correct? That is what is required. So we'll keep kg on one side and the dosage on the other side. And we'll apply the unitary method. What are we given? 12 kg child needs 0.3 ml. 1 kg will need 0.3 divided by 12. 32 kg will be multiply that by 32. Perfect. And then you can simplify and get your answer. Correct? So that is how you'll be doing it. You can now simplify. You get zero point 0.8 milliliters. So the correct dosage for 32 kg child is 0 0.8 milliliters. So I hope you have understood the concept. I had done all these questions earlier on and therefore I kind of read them. But now for you, you can go back to these questions, pause the video, answer them yourself and try to match your answers. That is going to help you. I hope that helps. Keep safe and keep learning. If you really want to learn from me, you can send an email on this address. We can organize some online classes for you. Thanks for your time and all the best.